Formula One heads away from Japan and goes to the Doha Desert for the second time. It's the Qatar Grand Prix. So just a few races left then in this year's campaign. Qatar followed then by America, 2 sprint races back-to-back. Mexico before the final sprint in Brazil. Then back to America on Las Vegas. The season rounds out at the end of November in Abu Dhabi. Max Verstappen leads the championship and could clinch it this weekend. He's on 400 points. Sergio Perez on 223. Hamilton's closing him in for second in the title. Alonso ahead of Sainz now after that win in Singapore. Sainz now ahead of his teammate Leclerc. Norris and Russell level on points. Piastri, Stroll and Gasly round out the first half. On the second half, Esteban Ocon ahead of Albon. Then it's Hülkenberg, Bottas, Zhou, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Lawson the last with points. Sargent, De Vries and Ricciardo pointless. In the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull lead the way, 623 points. They are the champions this year. Mercedes have 305 with Scuderia Ferrari 285. Aston Martin on 21 with McLaren 172. And then we get Alpine ahead of Williams. And then it's Haas, Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri. Let's take a look around the Losail International Circuit here in Qatar. First used back in 2021, not modified since MotoGP started here in 2004. Get a good exit out of the last corner, a double apex before you hurtle down the start-finish straight, past the new pit complex on the right, on the left the new grandstand. It's a long run down towards turn 1, heavy on the braking zone, it sort of filters into a double. It does turn 1, flick the car in once and then correct it mid-corner. Gently back on the throttle as you come down in towards turns 2 and 3, left-hander followed by a very quick flick before it hurtles down. That's past the first sector point. Hard on the brakes around about 70 metres. Flick the car in again as you get through 1, 2 and 3 consecutives at the right. Into the left past the long lap lead from MotoGP. The heaviest braking point on the track downhill. Then back on the power and watch as the car just flicks through the middle sector. Absolutely fantastic. It's difficult to overtake, but this section of the track flows beautifully together. Drivers love it as you hurtle back down the brakes, flick the car in to the left, then gradually get back on the power through the fastest segment on this circuit as well. It's great on MotoGP bikes, it's great in Formula One cars. As you go right, and right again as well, all trying to keep that toe together. And it's so tight, that third right-hander in that complex. Flat out as you come bow into the last corner once again, down the brakes, flick the car in, gradually get back on the power, resume your normal line, open up the DRS, hurtle down the straight, and that is a lap of the Losail International Circuit. Hello everybody and welcome to Sprinting in the Desert. Welcome to the 2023 Qatar Airways Qatar Grand Prix. This weekend Max Verstappen could be crowned a world champion, and if he does that it could be on the Saturday. All he needs is 3 world championship points and he takes the championship. It's going to be a very interesting weekend. So for this first session at the moment I am going to be running solo, but Nathan Richards, or Richie's just joined the the box. Richie, perfect timing to join in the box, ready for the session. We'll let him get set up as well. Very kind of him to step in very quickly on short notice. But we're all set for what's going to be a very entertaining session. So today we've got the practice coming up for you now, an hour only for the drivers to get ready. Later on this evening we go into qualifying. Tomorrow, sprint shootout and the sprint race. Sunday is the main Grand Prix. There's going to be a lot to look forward to as well. I'm looking forward to commentating with Richie again for a session in a moment. He's all set up, ready to go, and we're gearing up then for the start. Let's hand it back over to Simon Lazenby. He's got all the times for you this weekend ahead of this fantastic sprint race. Let's go back over.
Busy weekend here in Qatar, as we've explained. We know that the championship can be decided probably as early as tomorrow. 3 points is all that Max Verstappen requires. 1 hour to get things right before the cars into Park Fermi for qualifying. From 5 o'clock we'll begin our build up there. Saturday, sprint shootout from 1:30, setting the grid for the sprint from 5:30. Sunday, 4:30 on air, with a race starting at 6 o'clock. Just a reminder, the podcast will return on Tuesday, latest edition, looking back on this. And we head to the triple header. Right, let's head up to the commentary box for the first time this weekend to join Crew Chandok and David Croft.
We're back in the deserts of Qatar for the first time since 2021. When we came here last, we were in the grips of one of the greatest title attacks we've ever seen. Lewis Hamilton versus Max Verstappen. 2 years on, here in round 17 of the 2023 campaign, Max Verstappen has his first chance to be crowned a 3-time world champion. It's a sprint weekend as we make our third of 4th visits here to the Gulf Fair State, the Qatar Lusail International Circuit. It's a total of 5.419 kilometres. Race distance ahead of us is 308.611 kilometres, 57 laps ahead of us, and 16 turns. Elevation flat, 4.178 metres. Qatar, the second flattest nation on the world. It really is going to be exciting. New track surface here, the bitumen seeping through in the high heat, which means it's the highest of the tyre compounds. Hard white C1, medium yellow C2, red soft C3 tyre compounds to take us through it. Should be exciting, will be exciting. A sole hour of practice in the daylight before we go into the evenings for qualifying ahead of Sunday's race. Alongside me in the commentary box is Richie. We're back together, Richie. Hello, how are you? Did you enjoy every PSGL series?
Yeah, it was good. It has been a long time, hasn't it, Josh, since we've been together? And finally we're reunited, which is probably one of my favourite weekends of the season. First of all, it's the closest to my birthday, which is on Monday. And second of all, we've got the sprint race, which I think I really love. Some people hate it, I can understand, but I think it also makes practice interesting because you've got to get all of your data in just 1 hour instead of 3 hours.
And the crucial thing here with this weekend's sprint race is that it's the first ever sprint race to take part in the night, which means that practice, the sole hour of practice, is completely irrelevant for the rest of the weekend because they're going to have to take it part and sort of guess what the temperature's going to do in the night. So no idea what's going to happen, and we're in for about an hour of utter drama.
Yes, I can't wait. I think it's going to be a great one. I love this circuit. I played it on the F1 game and it is by far my favourite. If you can get a good lap in, the flow is brilliant. So cars that struggle are at a track like this, so I think Fernando Alonso probably won't like this weekend. But if you're in the likes of Red Bull or a McLaren or Ferrari, I think this will be a great track to drive around because it is so flowy. And once you get into that flow, it's hard to get out of it. I think it is really a beautiful track at the day and, of course, at the night as well.
Problem when we came here in 2021 was the fact that the track was pretty much suited for MotoGP. The layout hasn't changed, but a whole new resurfacing as well to F1-style grip levels as well. only completed within the last 7 months. Of course, they've demolished everything, but the biggest talking points that we're going to be throughout this session is these curbs, a new thing to try and deter from track limits, both in Formula 1 and in MotoGP. Some of the curbs are 3 centimetres off the ground, some are 5 centimetres off the ground. So in the age of ground effect, running off the track and scraping your floor, it's going to be detrimental. So they've got to go out there, find the limit on a completely green track, which is seeping the bitumen through, the temperature's through the roof. I don't know how they're going to do it. It's just insanity what we're attempting here.
Yeah, I think anything we see today, I wouldn't take into qualifying at all, because I think it'll be a lot different. It'll be a way different picture, because you've got drivers who are going to be doing hard runs, medium runs and soft runs. And normally you might get 15 laps in a simulation here to do your medium run. Here you might have 5. Because you haven't got the time to do just one run. You've got to do 3 or 4 different things. You've also got to test maybe aero. Cars might have new upgrades onto their car. They will always have to test that. So there's so many things that you need to do. So I think a lot of things we take from today, we just take with a pinch of salt, I think, from this practice session. Of course, obviously back in 2021, it was, what was it, Fernando Alonso's first podium in 7 years?
Yes.
Maybe it could be his first win in, I think, is it 9 years?
For long, yeah, 10 years, 10, yeah. 2013 at the Spanish Grand Prix was his last win. Coming into it as well, it's entirely a good possibility that we could see it. So a sole practice session then. Practice 1, just in case we have to add something later on, is go. And the cars will head out onto the track. We'll get all our systems ready and set up. We've got Magnussen and Hülkenberg and Bottas the first to head out onto the circuit. And look how dusty it is already. This is another thing as well. New track surface, but we've got the sand that's blown in. Heavy wind temperatures out there today, so that's going to be a factor. But one man who's not afraid of a bit of wind, and he's standing down in the pit lane, is Ted Kravitz, and he'll be talking us through it.
Breeze is the operative word. Thank you, Crofty. Thank you, Karun. Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's 4:30 in the afternoon here, and the heat isn't a problem. Actually, the dust, look at that. As the Alpine goes past, and here Lewis Hamilton goes past, look at the sand and the dust that they are throwing up with their sticky Pirelli rear tyres. Even though it's the hardest of the 3, I've seen them going out. There you go, there's the Ferrari. Look at all that sand, it's incredible. There is a huge amount. And look, this cloud of sand and dust as everybody is coming down here. Yes, this has been a construction site for the last sort of 6 or 7, maybe 8 months. But this is really going to be a factor going forward. The heat isn't a problem down here. It's 35, Crofty, where the humidity is relatively low, sort of mid-40s, early 40s. Look at all that dust that Lando Norris puts up into the air, and it gets into my eyes. I can feel it if I crunch my teeth together. I can feel the sand between my molars, and yeah, it's pretty extreme down here. Not the heat, but all the sand that pervades everywhere. I was going to give you a nice line about how McLaren are going into this weekend thinking they can challenge Red Bull for the top honours. But now I've got so much sand in my eyes, I can't actually see anymore. So take a shot of Oscar Piastri instead.
Sand between my molars sounds like one of Ernest Hemingway's lost novels, doesn't it, really? McLaren, by the way.
Yeah, it does as they come through. So not exactly great for old Tedos down there in the pit lane. It's not the best of conditions we've ever seen here in Qatar. Then again, I've known it to rain here before, and that's no joke as well. It has literally rained in the desert back in MotoGP, I think 2018, maybe 2017.
To slow down. Don't push. Don't push. Do not push. Do not push. I'll let you know.
Do not push. Do not push. So they've noticed something's wrong there.
Look at that. It looks like rain spray. There's that much dust coming off the track, and that could also be a reason why they're telling signs not to push. Because the track looks very difficult to drive in these conditions. It's obviously very hot as well as... Oh, he's back again.
Okay, it's all okay from data now, so you can take your out up.
That's good news.
Sensor issue.
So it's so it was a sensor issue. That was the reason. Okay, fair dues. If there is a problem with the car, you don't want to wreck it. You need to make sure it's A-okay. But I still would have preferred them to go out there and actually give it some welly in this session, because you only get an hour. Frederick Vasseur watching on as well. So away they go then. And the predictions, by the way, Richie, on the simulators is to have, this is Kevin Magnussen first of all, on what you were describing as what looked like a wet line. It's dry tyres, but there's so much sand. And it hasn't slowed down yet, it is, but it's almost like they're running on the water. That's going to be no grip whatsoever.
Yeah, it's horrible conditions to drive through. I don't think any driver wants to deal with that. But once they got themselves and they've formed, I suppose you could say, kind of a dry line, which would normally be in the wet, they should be able to push a little bit more than usual. But I'm keen on to see what Aston Martin are like this weekend, because from what we've seen from their car normally, this would be one of their worst tracks.
My God, it's so slippery.
Verstappen saying, yeah, we can see
God,
it.
it's so slippery.
Oh, there's the,
quite funny as well.
there's the team radio coming back at us. Yeah, it is very slippery out there as well. I'd be very careful out there if I was Max Verstappen. The last thing he needs to do this weekend is to throw it away and risk losing out on the 3 points he needs in the Drivers' Championship. Ideally, I wouldn't mind if he had a bad race in the sprint, because that means that we get a race on Sunday. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like I'd rather him fail to have a better race on Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much, the story's been written, hasn't it? I'm sure he'll take it in the sprint race, but you never know, anything can happen. Maybe someone gets a little bit angry that he can win it on a Saturday and might take him out. We never know, of course. As you can see, Carlos Sainz there, quickest. Sainz on the radio again.
Would we quick in this condition? Roger that.
Just thinking.
My dad would do better in these conditions. Carlos Sainz Sr., of course. Multiple-time rally champion and Dakar champion. Do you know what? It is a bit comical that we come here and the cars just can't handle the conditions, because it is just... It is literally like you've just gone to the seaside and put a Formula 1 car on it.
Yeah, my dad would we quick in this condition.
Oh, never mind.
Seconds.
He's done a 1:34.913 immediately. So Max Verstappen has just said, forget it, I'm okay. I'll push as hard as I like, and everybody else can catch up. Hannah Schmitz there, the principal strategy engineer at Red Bull, watching on. She's got the job to make sure Max gets the 3 World Championships on Sunday, or Saturday, rather, in the sprint race. There we see, I think, Lando Norris. He's following Perez, and there's Oscar Piastri now. They've added a few more barriers to certain segments of the track as well.
Russell, quickest.
Just heard some Leclerc radio in the background. He was very muffled, actually, when we were talking about it. Yeah, Russell's gone fast. It's 1:34.898. Yeah, by the way, Richie, I've been in the box since. We've now got more team radio. We've got the Pit Lane Channel team radio that filter in.
Oh.
So,
okay.
yeah, so
Okay,
it's very hard to hear this weekend, but we've got that.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard something, but I didn't know if it was a bit of static coming through. I heard a voice, but yeah, I guess it was Leclerc as Alonso goes quickest by a tenth of a second. I think that's also showing that the track is starting to ramp up slowly as we work our way through, because, you know, the Aston Martin typically shouldn't be very quick around here. You'd be thinking maybe it'd be the 6th, 7th slowest car. At the moment in practice, it's quickest, but it's the first laps in. People are going to be getting used to the car. We know Alonso's won. He likes to get his foot in there as soon as possible. It is a challenge. He wants to face it. As Verstappen's on the radio again.
I can't see anything. I don't know why, but the sun makes you not see anything.
He's not the only one. He's not the.
Yeah, it's called the dust haze. The sun hits the sand particles and it creates like a reflection balance, so you can't see anything. Lando's saying Strat 8, but he's just gone second on a 1:34.866, as Piastri is down in 14th position. Russell fastest again, 1:32.9, and that is Leclerc jumping off the track, I think, down at turns 4 and 5, which is usually a 6th gear corner. Yeah, it is, turns 4 and 5.
That is the last place you want to go track, because look at all the dust as he comes through. The dust on the, obviously you can't see it there, but on the rear of the car, a lot of dust gets through. So that's the last place you want to go off track, as that is Russell. You can see that Mercedes running very close to the ground, which you think around a track like this with quite high curbs, you wouldn't really bother trying it, would you? You'd think you'd go for a bit more of a higher up car, and generally you want downforce. So I suppose that's also another reason why they might be running a bit lower. But I think this is one of the tracks which is quite difficult to get the car to work. I think Red Bull might be the only ones that could make it work to their optimum. I think you'll have the Alonso go second again. I think you'll see Ferrari struggle a little bit. I think we'll see Mercedes, of course, struggle, because they're one of those teams that 1 minute they're looking really quick, next round they're really poor.
Just to explain to you how bad the track surface is at the moment.
I need less flap. I feel my throat still.
Lawson's complaining of oversteer coming into it as well. The pole time from 2021, yes, it was in much faster cars, but it was a 1:20.827. The best we're doing right now is a 1:32.9. So you really know how bad the conditions are at the moment. They've got to rubber this in for a lot over the next hour of running before qualifying. Everybody coming in, enjoying the festivities. There was an actual, there's a load of barbecues that happened here at the circuit.
You need a flap adjust. We can think about
Lance saying he needs a flap adjust, and he's coming into the box now. Verstappen second, 1:33.238. Yeah, so there's a load of barbecues that happen here. And yesterday there was 4 different barbecues, and one of them they had a whole camel that you could just take the flesh. Yeah, they cooked the whole camel. You can come along, take some, put it in a burger bun, and eat it. So yeah.
Well, that's a lot different to what we do in the UK.
Yeah.
As Gasly goes second.
1:33.116.
Verstappen, what's he done here? Look at that, you can't see a thing heading through towards somebody. That's turn 10. Big slide there, which is something we don't often see with that Red Bull. Normally it's very planted, it's got a lot of downforce, but you can see there, they're completely losing the rear through there, missing that apex, touching the dust, and then look at it, it's like watching the rain. There's so much dust on the circuit, which they need to try and get sorted out for qualifying, otherwise we're going to see some surprise exit, we're going to see some crashes, which are going to be a lot more common than we normally expect. So it's a big shame that we don't have F2 and F3 here, because they can't warm up the track for F1, can they? F1 cars are going to do it all alone, which is something they haven't had to do much at all this season, is it?
Yeah, and there is no support series at all. This Formula 1 is the only event on this weekend. There's no Porsches, there's no F2, F3, as you said. Next year we'll have F2 here, but this year it's just Formula 1. That's the main event. So the tracks is only going to improve on what these cars can do. There's not even any thing going on in between the sessions. It's literally just Formula 1. It's a bit like what we're going to have in Vegas in a couple of weeks' time.
Behind, from your point of view, what do you think? Do we wait
Russell
to complete the test?
Stroll
Yeah,
on.
I think so. At the moment, it's not learning anything.
Yeah, okay, copy that.
That's Gasly. They're just not learning anything, they say. And they're really not. It's so bad out there right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one, I think, going into qualifying. I think this is one of the weekends which you should be excited for. It's like you literally don't have a clue. Normally you'd say, oh, this car's looking quick, this one's not. But here, there's absolutely nothing. So this is Lando Norris coming through the final sector. A bit of a snap on the entry. Going a little bit wide. Oh, no, it's not. That's going towards turn 6.
He's taking out the bollard.
I hit one of the polystyrene boards with the front wing. Okay, understood. We saw it on the video.
Does it need to replace it, I presume?
Oh. Yeah, he took off the front wing as well. So and that's looking not to hit one of the metal poles. Has he broken by the front wing? No, I think he's just going to hit it. Yeah,
have you?
He's hit it square on as well from the bollard angle.
Fastest in the first with a 33.6. That's a 10th quicker than Russell. Through the middle, a 31.0. That's about a 10th down on Russell, as he will, I believe, go quickest as he comes through the final corner. Notice, Josh, the stream is way behind our live timings, isn't it, on the other screen?
Really is today, yeah, way behind. I don't know what's happened to it.
10 seconds back.
Yeah. It's usually it's only about 5 or 6. It's way back, and we're up to date as well because it's matching the other timing screens. But yeah, the picture's way back on the timing page. This is Lewis Hamilton. He's just gone fastest on a 1:31.279. So we're having to sort of guess where they are on the track because the driver tracker's way ahead of the TV pictures we're seeing. There's Peter Bonington, the senior race engineer for Lewis Hamilton, just coming in. Hello to Coffee, says good day, guys. Good day to you. And Jess says, hi, Josh and Richie. Looking forward to joining the broadcast during quali later. Looking forward to have you later on as well, Jess. As Max has another twitch.
That is a very big twitch, isn't it? And yeah, the track's... I think qualifying, Josh, is going to be good. From what we've seen here, now... The track isn't going to get much better, I don't think, by then. Because by the time we've settled down, we've got a, two-hour break before qualifying?
Yeah, 2 hours.
Again, the track will get the dust back. And Alonso, quickest in the first set. No, sorry, Russell's gone quickest in the first sector.
I don't like how they've gone to an ad break there because we've got some of the best qualifying action of the year, practice action, and they've gone to a break. So we'll go onto the battle screen. We've got the TV pictures via the pit lane channel, the PLC, and Richie's got timings and driver tracker.
Yeah.
So all will be okay.
A bit more, so just keep pushing until you feel a call is warranted, and we'll get back to you.
Lance is up.
Yeah, push until you think as a call is necessary. So basically, just keep
Alonso
pushing.
quickest.
Oh, 130.526. So Alonso's finding the deltas. Fastest of all in the third sector, but it's Russell, sectors 1 and 2, who's fastest. 33.009, 30.610, but he's tumbling down the timing sheets as Verstappen now goes second, Hamilton takes third, and Leclerc takes fourth. So they're all just pushing on different tyres. We've got and Russell now top, 129.979. So it is improving, but this is going to be making a very interesting qualifying one later on.
It is. I think Q1 we could see some surprise at the session, and I think one person who I think needs to be careful of that is Charles Leclerc.
Yeah.
We know sometimes he gets a little bit hot-headed in a qualifying session, especially in that first session. We've seen many times his mistakes that have ended him out of qualifying. So he's one I think needs to be careful, because in conditions like this, we know he likes to push. We know he likes to push a lot. Sometimes we're not even necessary. So yeah, let's hope Leclerc can make it through. I think the car's quick enough, which is the fact of the way he likes to drive, and I think we've seen before mainly in Q3 where he gets a little bit over ambitious and then ends up in the wall. Luckily, I think the only time it's affected him really badly was Monaco, wasn't it, where he didn't start the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
21.
2021 hit the wall, over exhausted in qualifying, and this is Carlos Sainz actually has had a little bit of a moment coming through the back half of the track where Lando destroyed the bollard. Yeah, it's just twitching everywhere and jumping over the curbs, coming through turns 12, 13, 14 at the exit before 15. So everyone's struggling. But interesting, you said about Charles Leclerc. Of course, last time we were here in 2021, a cracked chassis prevented him from progressing into qualifying 3. Started 13th on the grid and finished in 8th place in the race. So Leclerc's got experience of problems around here. Max Verstappen's having some trouble as well. As he comes through, he's just twitching a little bit off the track as our pictures have gone up here in the commentary box. Adrian Newey on the pit wall, just keeping up.
Mainly instabilities in the
Checo?
speed.
Yeah. Yeah, so Checo was just complaining about visibility. Don't blame him.
Everyone is, aren't they? There's a lot of problems with visibility at the moment, and it's the fact of as well with the sun, like you said, the haze from the sun mixing with the dust. It's like in the snow, isn't it? You can't see at all when it's sunny, and you got those weather conditions. So yeah, hopefully it improves by qualifying. Also, it'll be dark, I believe, by the time we get to qualifying, won't it?
It will be dark. Do you want to know something really impressive? For the first time this season, the Sky Sports F1 app is only 30 seconds behind. Less than that. It's 30 seconds behind the actual timing page, which, considering it used to be a minute, that's impressive. I think it's now level with F1 TV.
So it's still far back, but it's better than it was, I suppose.
Yeah.
There we are. The live pictures are coming back to us very, very quickly. It's weird to get an ad right there. This is Verstappen. I believe this is one of the Twitches we must have already saw. Yeah. Or at least what you saw on the battle channel.
He took
Turn 1. So focus.
So that's the same part of the track coming out of turn. Well, it's coming out of turn 11, isn't it? Oh, is it 5? Right. So that's right down there at 6th gear corner, 215 kilometers an hour, down to 5th gear, 200 kilometers an hour to get that one right. Oh, and Ocon's off now as well, and Ocon is actually at turns 12, 13, and 14.
Yep, and with the speed you carry through that section, 12 to 14, that is the last place you want to go track, and that isn't Jack Doohan on the screen?
Hello.
Sitting there with Alpine.
Max Verstappen's gone
Obviously, Ollie
fastest.
Behrman as well, Josh.
Yeah.
Into Haas.
Oh, hello. I'm going to stop talking. Jess Hawkins, who had her first drive in an Aston Martin and liked my Instagram post about her a few days ago. She is now talking at Sky Race Control with Crofty.
Test for Aston Martin. You finally get to go in a Formula 1 car.
A long story cut short is that it was amazing. And I don't know what else to say other than that. The best day of my life.
Yeah.
Was it everything you imagined it to be?
And more, and more. It was incredible. The best thing about it, everything was amazing, but the biggest wow factor was the brakes.
Really? What, the stopping distances?
Here we go.
That just aren't there? I think you're smiling underneath that crash helmet, right?
There's a huge, massive smile underneath that helmet, all the way through. My cheeks were hurting that much.
How different, then, to any single-seater you've driven before, or, I know you do touring cars as well, but just incomparable or not?
I guess the principles are the same, just a lot more downforce, tyres are a lot bigger, a lot more power, braking power is far greater. Everything about it is the same principle, just bigger and better, I guess.
Love it. And Budapest, I know you've been on the simulator a lot. How did the real life compare with the simulator?
Very, very similar. Lots of development has gone on through the sim over the years, but not only that, it was just so similar. The simulator is the next best thing to driving in real life. It really is.
But then, I suppose the thing that I always think about is you don't have that fear factor. And, you know, when you pull out of the pit garage, I mean, it's weird. I can still remember the very first lap I drove in an F1 car, Barcelona 2007. That feeling won't go away from you of when you first accelerate and you're just going, wow, it's a culmination of a dream, isn't it?
I guess so, but what you can take from the sim, obviously it was a whole new experience for me, but if it's possible on the sim, it's possible in real life, and that's the philosophy that I went with to the circuit. So I knew where the braking points were. I knew I wasn't going to way overshoot or anything like that. So if I did it on the sim, I can do it in real life.
So how did this test come about? Because look, we know you've got a racing pedigree. You haven't just spent your life going 150 miles an hour on a lawnmower, you know, or playing semi-professional football, etc. And you're part of the Aston Martin driver squad. Were you badgering the team to say, let me at it? Or did the team say, Jess, we think you're good enough and we want to put you in there? How did it come about?
To be honest, this first came about at the beginning of last year. And it was a conversation that I had with Martin Whitmarsh that he floated the idea. And I hadn't mentioned it before then. But once he mentioned it, I kept reminding him that he said. And it was supposed to have happened a couple of times before, but we were hit with some really bad weather at Silverstone twice. So yeah, but it happened.
Just in a shot of Ollie Behrman at the back of the Haas garage. He gets his opportunity in an FP1 session in Mexico and Abu Dhabi for Haas. You got enough points on your super license? Can we stick you into one of those or not?
Well, firstly, Oliver Behrman is a very, very talented driver. Back when he was a young kid, I did some coaching with him, and he's always been special.
Yeah.
Well, look, FP1 for me is not an option at the moment. I don't have enough super license points.
Oh, no!
Simple as that. But should anything change, I guess that they are conversations that I can be having.
Have you said to the team, look, what's next now? What can I do now? Has that conversation started?
Of course. That's always the next question, is it? Can I go again? But I was very happy with my performance. I think the team were too, and I feel like I've done everything in my ability to ensure that I get another go should the opportunity arise.
So what's going on with you at the moment in terms of your racing? Obviously, we saw you in W Series most recently last season. And as Crofty mentioned, you've been off in touring cars and all sorts of other bits. So what's going on in Jessica world at the moment?
So I'm racing this year. I'm racing with the University of Wolverhampton. Everybody working on the car is a young university student, which is amazing. But looking forward into next year, I really am just working hard to pin down the budget and funding and sponsors to work with me to allow me to race a GT3 or something similar like that. So that's what I'll be doing over winter, and hopefully I'll get there.
Yeah, GT racing. It's not bad for Aston Martin, you know, timing-wise. Yeah. Le Mans project announced this week.
I've just recently updated my CV as well, actually.
Yuki Tsunoda just keeping out of the way, I think, for a moment in his AlphaTauri. I'm not going to ask you about lap times, because I think that's a really unfair question to ask, given that it wasn't a race weekend. You can't compare it to any lap times that were done by Fernando and Lance, because the track wasn't rubbered in, etc. But how happy were you with the times that you put in, based on what you might have expected from your work in the sim?
Very limited in a number of laps, so I wasn't really 100% sure what to expect, but I exceeded my own expectations.
Cool.
I think the team were very happy, and as far as I was concerned, I was very close, and I was exceptionally happy.
That's
amazing.
I came in with saw the data and had a big smile on my face.
Love it. Were you allowed to push, or was it, you know, a filming day where you're told you've got to do a certain thing?
They were other than, you know, cool down laps after a push lap, they were all push laps. They were, you know, push cool, yeah.
And Budapest is such a fun track, isn't
it? Amazing. Okay, I can't give you lap times, but what I can tell you is that it is a massive amount faster than I've ever driven the Hungarian before.
Because you'd done that in the W Series before?
Yeah, the year prior. So luckily I knew the circuit, which was advantageous to me.
Yeah, that helps knowing the track. Tell us about this weekend. Because you're not coming up here in your Aston Martin uniform without some insight from the garage here.
Yes.
So, I mean, the amount of sand on the circuit is a massive curveball, isn't it? That this is something that we didn't see yesterday, or at least not quite this bad, but as we can see, the times are just going to be falling rapidly throughout this session. Who knows where we'll end up time-wise, but as the track rubbers in, they will be going significantly faster every lap.
What's the mood like in the camp? Because they've, I imagine, seen McLaren coming pretty quickly. You know, McLaren have taken out a whole heap of points, haven't they? In the last, is it 53 points in the last 2 weekends, and they're only 49 behind. So we're riding on board with Fernando Alonso. What's the mood like at Aston Martin?
Probably quite nice now that he's gone P1, but there's a long left of the session. But yeah, we see McLaren. We're obviously doing everything that we can to keep them behind us. Updates coming soon, hopefully. But yeah, we're doing everything that we can. We see this very much as a similar circuit to Japan, so kind of expect a similar performance. But so far, so good, I guess.
Jess Hawkins there as well. Absolutely fantastic to have her insights in Formula One. And I was very happy when she got that test. And there's a wonderful Sky Sports F1 podcast about her story that Matt Baker's sat down with her. And it is on the Sky F1 YouTube channel. This is Charles Leclerc coming into the pit lane. And is Carlos Sainz already there? Yes, he is. He turns in. And there's no room at the inn, Richie.
Nope. As normal, we'll see what he says.
Oh, that didn't sound good. What happened?
Oh,
to
it was an engine issue.
We'll come back to you.
Now, this is after Carlos Sainz.
So, something.
Not ideal.
That didn't sound good. What happened to the engine? We'll come back to you.
Alonso or Stroll, one of the two. Towards turn 6.
Stroll.
Or turn 10.
Stroll at 6.
It's quite hard to figure out where you're on the track, isn't it?
Really is, and I don't think it helps. Now, with MotoGP, their camera angles are closer to the track, they're higher up, they look down more, and you can easily spot what parts of the track you're at. For Formula One, for some reason, they've gone to the extreme outskirts, have put it as flat as possible.
How much are we actually learning doing a long run? Because
we need to stabilise numbers, and there's still a scope for you to try some lines and so on. We also need a green 9 position 5, green 9 position 5.
Yeah,
well, it shows.
Yeah, and I can't tell where we are. I know this track so well. I've commentated at Qatar since 2012. I know this track so well. I've done multiple races on it, and we come here twice for Formula One, and every time I'm like, where are we? Once it'll get dark, I'll be more familiar.
Yeah. Well, this was a track where Verstappen got his penalty, wasn't it? For the not following the yellow flags, wasn't it?
Yep, and
double yellows.
Demoted to 7th on the grid as well, because I think, wasn't it Tsunoda that stopped the track or something or other?
Something like that, yeah. And it was at the end, wasn't it? Hamilton, Verstappen, and Alonso.
Yes. And then,
which is something we haven't seen this season in that order, but we have seen those three on the podium together, haven't we? I think. Is it Australia?
Yes. Yes, I believe so.
Canada.
No, it was Australia that they got it, and Canada as well.
I have overreaching, but I have front left greening as well.
Yeah,
Sargent.
it's just slow grip of all.
So Sargent saying he's got a what is it, understeer and grip at the front end. So really strange situation for him going into that one as they come through. 33 minutes to go then. Magnussen's 3 seconds off the pace at the moment of Alonso, who's set the top delta time at a 1:28.624. The faster times are coming on the harder compound of tyre as we're in this strange crossover point here. Over there at the moment, it's only...
I tried to push it more, mate, but I'm just losing the rear.
The sun is setting, but it's only 3 minutes to 5 over there in Qatar. So it's not that far ahead of us, and it really is sort of going into the night. I mean, it's going to be dark, I think, when we do the sprint race as well later.
Yeah, the qualifying, not the sprint race. That's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, yep, sorry. Sprinting tomorrow, quality tonight.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Josh.
Getting way ahead. It's so confusing, this format. I still think that... Oh, what was that flying across the track?
What? Oh, Albon. I'll just say, Josh, I'll be missing the sprint qualifying tomorrow because I'm off to Milton Keynes.
Are you infiltrating Red Bull?
No, I'm off to commentate karting.
Oh, of course, that's tomorrow. Yes. IRL. Well, actually, this is in real life, isn't it? So what do we call it? Karting.
Look, a mix, isn't it?
Yeah.
This.
It is a strange mix. Little commentator there. But
in
that's
real
going to
life,
be
but
fun.
online.
So, are you taking your equipment down then, or do they give you your own equipment?
No, they got some stuff up there.
Ah, good,
So
good.
They'll down there, I suppose.
6 laps, I'll let you know it needs to stabilise numbers. See if these brakes sort themselves out as well.
I take it it's weird commentating because you have, I presume you have a screen, but with security cameras only, so you look out the window a lot more.
No, I don't have a screen at all.
You have to look out the window completely. Blimey. Wow, because
I've got my phone, which has my live timings on, but that's it. So it's going to be difficult, but it's one of them. You've got to work with what you got, haven't you?
Have you got a pair of binoculars? Because I'd be there with a headset and a binocular, steering right through, focusing on everything on the track, and then looking occasionally down. It's basically like horse racing commentary, for karting.
Yeah. It's a little bit more laid back considering I've got no screens.
Yeah, just ramble.
Because you've got to try and figure out who's going over the line where. It's like, that's cart number 2.
Getting all the names as well. I'd love that. I'd love to give it a go.
Yeah, some of them are actually quite easy names to say, luckily.
Yeah.
Some of them are a bit more difficult. There's a couple of Polish drivers there, but apart from that, they're quite easy to say. A lot different to PSGL, where we have to spend about 2 weeks trying to figure out everyone's name. And I remember there once was it Tripkov, who after 5 races told us what his name actually was.
It did, yeah. I remember that. It was in the post-race show, wasn't it? Where he said, "How do we actually pronounce your name?" Because everyone's butchering us on the YouTube channel and saying it's not how it goes. Ferrari's down there. Ted's got news.
In fact, we've seen a guy with a laptop plug into one of the data ports at the back of the car. So I think it's all fine. Obviously, Leclerc wouldn't say something sounds wrong if he didn't hear something wrong.
Yeah,
but there's certainly not any sort of mechanical work going on the back of the car. He has been in the garage for the last 10 minutes or so. A small change to the front suspension and now a bit more change to the rear of the car. But he's about to go out again once they put the engine cover and everything back on. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, the temperature is plummeted here down the pit lane, Crofty, from 35 degrees to 34 degrees. So you almost need a Jess Hawkins beanie bobble hat down here. It's cooling off so rapidly.
I can't see you in a beanie stroke bobble hat.
She wears it better than I do.
She does that, to be fair. Thank you, Ted.
Ted Kravitz down there as well, and Jess does. I've met Jess, actually. We both stood in line for a COVID test at Snetterton in 2021, touring cars. She made her debut there as well, and we were lined up outside. And yeah, very nice having a chat with her as well.
It's an interesting way to meet the driver, isn't it, that?
Yeah.
For a COVID test.
And I saw her actually on the track, and bear in mind, this was early June 2021, just coming out of lockdown once again. First race back with spectators and journalists being allowed into the paddock for touring cars. Went down there, and I set up where I'm going to be staying, because I went down with my friend Luke, who he was setting up a stall for T-shirts and gizmos and all that lot. Selling it all. So I was there and just looked out onto the track, and there's Jess walking by, and I thought, oh wow, there's Jess Hawkins walking around in a beanie hat. It was 26 degrees and she was in a beanie hat, a woolly beanie hat, and she did take it off as well when we were in there for the COVID lineup and everything. So it was fantastically funny.
Is it the perfect way to say that you don't like your hair then?
Yeah,
Without saying it.
Yeah. Just wear the beanie hat. My hair's atrocious at the moment. It's got so long at the back. But yeah.
I need to get mine sorted as well. But we ain't got the time for that, have we?
No. I need to put a hat on as well. I've got one in the side of the commentary box. Got to get it sorted as well before the end of the season as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to Abu Dhabi so much as well.
For the fact we're going to have a break, or...
No, somebody's joining me in the commentary box. I'm very much looking forward to having it alongside me.
We need to be at least 2-3 tenths forward from air balance.
As Joe crossed the line, 7.5 seconds down. So, been okay on the Delta times. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I've noticed. It seems that Williams looks slowest, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
Which is surprising, because it was Alpine on the simulator predictions that was the slowest. Because it goes yeah, on the simulators it goes Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, Alpha Tauri, 5th fastest, Aston Martin, Haas, Alfa Romeo, Williams 9th, but Alpine is the slowest team. And the sim predictions put them as 1.1 seconds separating the entire field. That's clearly not right, because at the moment they're separated by 4 seconds, but Williams are struggling down there. But they've run only on the medium compound tyre. They haven't run anything on the hard yet, so they're out of position.
And we've had no one on the soft just yet. We've got half an hour-ish to go. No one on the soft tyres yet. Well, that's Russell and I think that's Lawson having a little bit of a battle in the first sector. But yeah, I think hopefully we get to some soft tyres near the end of the session. Because I can hear the radio game, but I can't hear the person.
I couldn't either. It was Hulkenberg complaining about something. Something flew off
George
Russell's.
Something off the car then?
Yeah. Something on the side, the left rear of Russell's car. Something flew off. Looked like a piece of debris on the side pod. A lot of fans coming in actually this early. I'm very much surprised. Qatar love MotoGP. They absolutely love it. They have done for ages. This track was originally built for MotoGP. It's a MotoGP layout. It's only hosted a few car races. It's a bit like what we have at Mugello when we went there. It's a tight, twisty circuit. But the Qatar fans have come to love Formula One, and they are very excited to be here for the next 10 years.
It's great to see, isn't it? Yeah. I think it's great to see more and more nationalities getting involved in Formula One. Because, yeah, as you say, Qatar was never really interested in it, was they? But now you can see a lot more Qataris being involved and enjoying Formula One, which I think it's always great to see. Formula One side, they love it because they get money. But it's good for the fans because, you know, there's more people talk about this is James Vels on the pit wall.
Which you've got 25 minutes left of practice to do.
Yeah, go so far as to say nightmare. I think you're definitely going to see a little bit of a mixed up grid though, because you get 1 hour that defines your entire weekend at a track that neither of our driver has been to before, and a track where every time just the cars stop running, actually a fresh layer of sand comes across it again. So a bit of a challenge.
So how do you set up a car for this weekend then, knowing you've only got 60 minutes before Parc Fermé?
Before you come here, obviously there's a tremendous amount of work done in the simulator back in our case in Grove. So our drivers, both of them, were in last week and this week in order to start preparations for Qatar. And you're looking at what sweeps would you be looking at in different conditions. You vary the grip level, you vary the wind level. So you start a bit of the preparation, but nothing really prepares you for what you have here. I think you've seen a few comments from the drivers. One that I chuckled at was Carlos said, I think his father would be quicker than him in these conditions. The second is Logan just said, I've never experienced anything like this. It is tricky out there. So even that amount of simulator prep won't really get you close to what you're having here. Then what you have, very quickly, you have a forged program of basically you start a little bit more conservative perhaps than you would do otherwise and ride heights on the key critical items. Because if you get that completely wrong, you're breaking Parc Fermé, and then you build up from there.
James, I was asking, earlier, in terms of the track conditions, obviously it's a new surface. With the simulator, do you guys as teams get information as to how low the grip is? Because obviously you want to try and simulate conditions as close to what the drivers are going to experience on the weekend.
Max has had a half spin.
A massive snap there at the apex of turn 6.
Yeah, I was watching that at the same time. No, Corinne. I mean, it's you get maybe some information relating to how the tarmac is, what they've used, but it's nowhere near enough to replicate it. Really, there's only 2 ways to measure it. There is actually quite a funky little machine that can sort of measure track grip, but this circuit isn't accessible for us beforehand. We have to really run around here to understand where we are. So all you can really do is sweep in the region where you think we're going to be.
And in terms of the format, we mentioned about the Parc Fermé conditions, and one of the things I think should be tweaked for the sprint format for next year is to maybe change Parc Fermé to come in after sprint quali. I fundamentally like the sprint format. I think we get a lot of action through the weekend. But I'm not a big fan of people just, if you've gotten stuck with a bad setup, you're lumped with it for 3 days. I'm not a huge fan of that. What's your view?
I think it's the expression would be can of worms. The issue with what you're providing there is it doesn't take much before we'll start putting bits in the car that allows us to focus on perhaps just qualifying specific aspects of that. So you'll remember, Kuhn, I think you were alive, born at this time. I definitely was engineering at this time. We used to have very specific qualifying cars where you'd run lighter brake discs, different power units, different elements of things. There's still some things that we can play with in the rules, and there's some discussion around that at the moment. How far do we go towards that? So there's a balance of effectively making sure the regulations allow that freedom that you're talking about. And by the way, I'm in support of that. I don't think your weekend should be over just after FP1 because you made a mistake. But equally, ensuring we don't get ourselves back to let's have very different cars for these 6 races for qualifying.
James, thank you. Great to have you with us this weekend. We'll talk to you during qualifying. Best of luck for the rest of this session and the weekend too.
Antonio Giovinazzi was just on the screen there as well, coming into it. Charles Leclerc having an interesting start out there. Oh, and he's got off the track mid-sector. So that's down at 4 and 5 again. And it's just becoming impossible. Now we're getting, Richie, the lights started to take over as the primary source of vision, and you can see the slippiness of the track. You can actually see it a lot more now because there's the glue, the bitumen underneath the surface with the heat. It's rising up, so it's effectively racing on ice.
Yeah, it's not ideal at all, and you see many different drives from many different skill levels on this grid, all struggling, which is, it's not an ideal scenario, especially when you've only got one practice session to make everything work. Some teams, I think, will be going into this very underprepared. Others might be in a very perfect situation. Piastri's gone quicker by 3 tenths in that middle set, so he's done a good job on the hard.
That's Leclerc. Leclerc telling
not happy, is he?
No, he's telling his team basically to shut up because he can't hear what's going on there. Jess, hello, Jess. Williams at bottom at the moment might be due to maybe both Alex and Logan not racing the track before. Leclerc to cause a red flag in quali or sprint shootout, I'm calling it. Well, Jess, you'll be in the commentary box, so probably it will be. As Piastri does a 1:28.380, he goes fastest with the middle sector of 30.089. So McLaren, second fastest team in the predicted simulators. They're quickest at the moment, followed by Aston Martin, who were predicted to be 6th fastest. They've jumped up to 2nd. So there's a lot of delta still yet to be found. And don't forget, qualifying later decides the grid for Sunday's race. We have a whole different day tomorrow for the sprint shootout.
Well, just a little bit of a talk about Formula 3. I just looked at the test at Jerez, and the quickest driver was Martin Stenshorn.
Wow, really?
Who I know was in, I think he's done karting in the past, hasn't he? Quite a lot. I recognise the name. I don't know who he is properly. And then Luke Browning was 2nd, and we had Charlie Wirtz in the top 3 as well.
What a good...
So very interesting over there at Formula 3.
Formula 3 is testing, of course, new drivers coming up from the ranks, that of Super Formulas coming in as well, and karting. It's going to be very nice to see them. Next season there'll be a show on that, I believe, from Chris McCarthy. He's making it. That'll be out on the YouTube channel for F1 TV at some point during the week. We're just watching now on board with Oscar Piastri. Hülkenberg's been wheeled back into the pit lane, and Piastri's backed out of a lap time as well. Sargent coming into the pit lane. So everyone now doing delta runs. Norris and Alonso just across the start line now in towards the first corner. Verstappen, Piastri and Leclerc to follow. And I'm not seeing any delta improvement so far. It's a McLaren 1-2 though, as Lando Norris goes 2nd with a 1:28.441. So McLaren are so far the quickest here at the Grand Prix of Qatar. Not a bad day so far. Do you reckon McLaren could actually steal a win this year? Ferrari did it, but it's going to have to be without sort of Red Bull being dominant.
Yeah, I think it's possible, given the pace they're showing right now, but it's hard to tell unless until we enter the race, because we know the McLaren struggles a lot, don't we, under the under the tyre degradation, which I think is something that's going to definitely hamper them.
Lawson, yeah, Lawson was saying something, but he stopped mid-conversation. Leclerc goes 4th, Sainz goes 5th. But yeah, everyone's been saying Vegas as a bogey track for Red Bull. I'm not saying it, but it could be.
Red Bull? That should be one of their best tracks.
That's what I was thinking,
they can get rid of. That should be one of their best tracks.
The long sweep down the strip.
Yeah, it'll be very good for the likes of Red Bull. It'll be also very good for the likes of AlphaTauri, who are also very quick in the straights, I think, because they've had their recent upgrades. But I'm noticing one car that's not looking quick today, Josh. Red Bull.
Yes, they are not looking good, are they? Verstappen's 6th,
second
Perez
off.
12th. And let's see, Verstappen's done 19 laps on hard compound tyres. Perez has also done 18 laps on hard compound tyres. So they've only done that. They're limited, of course, on what tyres they've got. So they're out there on hard compound tyres, not the fastest, and struggling. So they'll probably get it back in for the sprint. For the qualifying.
I think the thing is, Perez is 2.5 seconds off the fastest time. That is a significant. That is significant, isn't it? Verstappen's a second back, yes, but he's a 1.5 seconds off his teammate. You should not ever be that far off of your teammate, ever.
It's been a really strange session right now, and they are all having trouble out there on the circuit.
The two that have had the most trouble were Verstappen and Leclerc, who last season were the championship protagonists, wasn't they?
They
well,
were
for at least the first 6 rounds.
6 rounds of the championship, and then they all disappeared afterwards as well. For poor Ferrari, only got a win at Singapore to come into it, as the screens now come back on. The wonderful setting sun here in the Gulf Air state of the Losail International Circuit, as they rank down one more with the times, and that's Charles Leclerc flying off the track. Once again, he's 4th fastest with his teammate Sainz in 5th. This is going to be an insane qualifying in about, as you say, 2 hours' time. Well, less than that, actually. 2.5 hours by the time the session ends. But let's see, Lucas, ready?
How's the wind picked up? We'll come back to you.
Yes, it has. Wind speed, 5.1 kilometres. So it's a big old wind out there, and it's blowing in sort of... It's a tailwind down the main straight. So it's blowing in down the main straight, as you can see on the graphic. So where Leclerc's coming out to now, we'll open up the DRS and we'll get a tremendous punch up the back of the head.
Definitely not. In terms of lap time.
Well, Leclerc was just complaining over the radio. You heard him live saying how says it's a scruffy lap. He's gone fastest on the medium tyre, the first medium tyre to go quickest of all in this practice session. It's a 1:28.104, but Richie, that high wind coming in exactly as it was predicted as the sun begins to set. We're in for a very dusty, cold evening. Oh, is Ted down there?
Definitely. Well,
Alonso.
Nostro Piastri means our Piastri. He's everybody's Piastri. But Liam Lawson is everybody's Liam Lawson as well. So let's talk about him for just a second. Starting his 5th weekend now, or the 4th complete weekend of his burgeoning early Formula One career. So was told by Daniel Ricciardo himself that Liam would be deputising for him once again. We're expecting Ricciardo's hand to be well enough and strong enough to come back in Austin in a couple of races' time. So Liam Lawson settling in to a track he doesn't really know, but he's getting there and will do. But you're talking about the wind, Crofty. Can I show you the Haas team's new wind device? And I'm calling this Gunter's gustometer.
Gunter's
and there Gunter, here he is. There's Gunter.
There he is.
And there's Gunter's gustometer, which is hanging above the spare Haas garage. And it's a paper cup. And what it means, if the Gunter's gustometer is still, that means no wind. If it's blowing slightly, then that means it's a slight breeze. And if Gunter's gustometer is now swinging quite happily over the Haas garage, that means that the wind has indeed, as Carlos Sainz suggested, picked up and or easing off. Was it Carlos saying that the wind has eased off?
Charles saying, has it picked up?
Picked up, yeah. So according to Gunter's gustometer, that's moving quite lively, isn't it? So I think Charles is right, and it has picked up.
And very much inside the cost cap as well.
Oh yeah, no, it's a lovely idea. So well done, Gunter. Great idea. He's gone up to there. Yeah, Gunter's gustometer down here at Haas.
He has
a great
no clue
way of showing the wind direction and speed.
Might be why Kevin Magnussen's 5 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, it could be. He needs a bit more of a gustometer on that one.
Really focus on brake release and early throttle.
Sainz on the radio there as well. Why is he so much off the pace as well? Well, he is. Magnussen's 5 seconds off, but neither... Well, Magnussen has never been to this track before. Nico Hülkenberg, his teammate, has, because he's won here back in 2009 in the GP2 Asia Series. He won the feature race and finished on the podium in the sprint race. And he also, Hülkenberg, had the lap record here, and it stood for 12 years until Hamilton broke it in qualifying at the 1:21, and Albon flies off the track. Guess where? 4 and 5.
On the soft tyres as well. First driver on the soft, isn't he? I think in this session.
He is indeed. First driver on the soft compound tyre, and on his first run flies off the track. So the wind is now at 4.1 metres per second, and it's blowing a tailwind down the main straight. This is going to be very interesting. Let's see how he did it, Richie.
Yep, through towards turns 4 and 5, just loses the rear. It's struggling on turning, but the Williams, we know, is an oversteer merchant, isn't it, Josh? It's a very difficult car to drive, especially in these conditions around a track like this. I think we expect them to struggle. And I think, though, the good thing with Alex is you got a driver that can adapt to the conditions quite well. So I think if they had another rookie like Sargent, I think they'd be in a worse situation. But the fact they've got Albon in the car, I think it makes the team look a lot better than it actually is.
Which
is
dirty.
not nice to say, but it's true, isn't it?
Yeah. It's so dirty down there on the start-finish straight. Literally, it looks like somebody's put cement dust down here. It's so bad. And they've got to clean that up. There's literally almost like a dry line appearing on the circuit from the sand. And that's going to get blown away across the next 2.5 hours. JD says, hello, why is Perez still struggling? Perez down in 12th position, Verstappen in 6th. They have yet to run on either medium or soft compound tyre. And with the amount of sand on the track and the amount of wind, it's simply just a setup issue for the two Red Bulls. JD also saying, why is the Verstappen struggling? They just haven't run the faster tyres yet because they're saving them for the sprint. I think Red Bull will be in a better position when we get to qualifying later.
Also, Lewis Hamilton has popped a little message on Twitter. Someone put a message about him being pro Andretti, and apparently Lewis Hamilton said no. Don't support Andretti, just the idea of another team in future if it's a chance to make our sport more diverse.
Albon's gone off the track again. Oh, so he didn't say that. Well, I thought he did. He said that it would be great to have another team on the grid.
Yeah, it's weird, but I think
Andretti.
I think it's more the fact of relying on the fact it's more diverse, isn't it?
I swear, I've heard an interview with him himself saying that he was pro Andretti. Well, Lewis Hamilton can make up whatever rubbish he likes. He does that to make his own ego a little bit better. As Albon really frustrated, punching the steering wheel on that Williams. And he can't get it right.
It's like I turn in, it's like the rear is just not connected to the car at all.
Yeah,
it's like I've got zero accommodation.
No, that was just last time out.
So hard, isn't he?
Yeah. Really bad.
It's weird. Yeah, everyone's struggling, but, well, we have 10 minutes to go. We got hardly any cars out on track. I believe the ones out on track should be.
Turn in, it's like the rear is just not connected to the car at all.
That's Williams gone.
Onto a set of, well, Russell's on mediums. Is Alonso on softs? Because I know that Magnussen is and Sargent.
Hülkenberg, Tsunoda, Bottas, Albon, Sargent, Zhou, Magnussen out on softs. Alonso is out there on brand new medium compound tyres.
Well, Alonso hasn't run the mediums yet, so we'll see what he can do. Obviously, as I said at the start of the session, he's one of those. He wants to get his foot in. If he can push on a set of mediums for the first time, he will be one of those to volunteer to push on a set of mediums for the first time. We've got Russell run through.
There's a group going now, so I can't really help you. There's about 5-6 cars just left the pit lane now.
That's Albon.
Albon, he doesn't seem happy at all, does he? It's the first time you've generally seen him angry.
Yeah, he's really frustrated with that car. He's not working the way he wants it to. JD saying, so free practice doesn't count then? No, no times set in this session count towards anything for the rest of the weekend. Qualifying later on today, that will set the grid for Sunday's race. Saturday, we'll have the sprint shootout. That'll set the grid for the sprint race that's on Saturday afternoon. Sunday, race with the times from qualifying today.
Sargent up to the top 6.
Wow, 1:29.201.
Into turn 1. Oh, completely missed the apex and jet. Once you go off that nice line, yeah, say goodbye to that lap.
It's such a
That's not hard at all.
Turn 1 just sort of, it's like a double apex. You've got to throw the car in, then tighten it up mid-corner.
Yeah. Another thing, Josh, I don't know if you talked about it, but the pit lane is completely different.
Yeah.
The entrance to the pit lane, instead of potentially riding that wall round, it's just you slide into the pit lane, which is a lot different, isn't it, to 2021?
Yeah, it's the MotoGP pit lane entrance that they've decided to use because MotoGP complained that they had to use that F1 style pit lane because it cost them so much time. And they said it was too dangerous. So Formula 1 and MotoGP sort of came together with Qatar and said, okay, let's design a new pit entrance that is safe enough for everybody. And now this is apparently it. So it's now the new slip-in version. Yep. Former winner here, of course, as I said earlier, in GP2 Asia in 2009, won the feature. And was on the podium in the sprint race. No, finished 4th in the sprint race. No, I was right, 3rd place in the sprint race. Got to read my own notes better sometimes as it comes through. But Hülkenberg looking good as he comes through into turns 11 and 12. 12, 13, 14 here. So good corners.
6 tenths down, and he's now 10th and a half up on Leclerc on the soft tyres, of course. So I think he's expected to see him a little bit quicker than others. Albon 10th, Magnussen into the top 11. Hulkenberg takes the fastest second sector.
Is he going to set the fastest time? This is Magnussen goes 11th.
What will it be for the Hulkenberg? It'll be P2 on my time screens anyway. 67's back from Leclerc. And I think there's still a few more times left to come through.
Red Bull, yeah.
And yeah, Red Bull, they're not even going out, are they? They're staying in the pits, which is a surprise.
Leclerc, Sainz, Verstappen have stayed in the pit lane. I think Perez has just gone out now. Now, Tsunoda's gone 16th on the soft compound tyres. Perez has headed out there on soft tyres.
Halt in turn 5, Lando. A lot of cars struggled with a medium on their first. If the tyre's not ready, consider a warm. Halt to 6.
Yeah, so Lando being told that they're not, the medium tyres aren't ready on the first runs. And there, the curbs I was on about earlier on, the 3 to 5 centimetre drop-off. Magnussen flying off and really damaging the floor. That has a lot of sparks and few shards of carbon fibre off them.
If you do that 2 or 3 times, yeah, floor's not going to like you at all. Russell goes into the top 7 there. It was a Perez 9th. Yeah, Perez 19th. He doesn't want to be down there at all, does he? At all. It's to that place he wants to be. He's on the set of soft tyres. I think his main aim is probably to be quickest in the session. I think that should be what Perez's aim is. He's in the quickest car, on the quickest tyres. He should be aiming for at least a 2 or 3 tenth gap to Leclerc. I think Alonso's gone quickest on the medium tyres.
Wow.
67 thousandths up on Leclerc, so he's having a good session. One I thought would be a very poor race for Aston Martin. I was holding my head in my hands, thinking this could be the worst race this season for Aston Martin bar Singapore. It's looking like it could be a very interesting race for these.
On the first lap, I should have obviously now, but yeah, copy.
And Alonso goes fastest on the medium compound tyre, 1:27.919. So the Aston Martin finally has found some of its early season pace and has gone to the top. They are happy. But now, just look at this once more. Sargent goes 6th again on the softs, 1:28.7. Just consider this. Alonso, he's P1 at the moment. Where's Lance Stroll? Oh yeah, 13th. The most useless driver in Formula 1 is 13th.
Oh, Josh.
No, seriously.
Well, that came out of nowhere when Perez off the track and hit that curb.
Seriously.
But yeah, well, that was a statement, Josh. I don't think I've ever heard you say something with that much intenseness in your voice.
Well, I'm just having a look at the sheet here. I've got the commentary box that hangs on my wall. Stroll's 10th in the championship, but he hasn't scored any points since coming back from the season, from the summer break. No points since the no points since the summer break. 11th in Zandvoort, 16th in Italy. Crashed it in Singapore qualifying and crashed it in Japan.
Well, Verstappen, Josh, 5 tenths in the first sector, 5 tenths in the first sector alone. Perez up by a tenth in the middle sector and the first combined. Verstappen's going to take this position by at least 6, 7, 8 tenths at this point. We couldn't even see him drop into the 26 is Perez. Goes second.
Yeah, I was about to say, can Perez get ahead of Alonso's time, which is 1:27.9 on the mediums? He can't. It's a 1:28.0. But now you look to Verstappen, who's gone down in that second sector on Alonso's time. Now, both Red Bulls are out there on the soft tyres. Look at that. It's 34.5 kilometres per second wind speed. That is insane. It is gale force out there. Verstappen to the line. Is he faster than Alonso on the soft? Well, yes, he is by 4 tenths. But that Red Bull, Richie, was twitching down the start-finish straight.
It was, yeah. You can see, and also a little bit more testing with the Flowbies on the right-hand side of the rear wing. A few more cars popping out of the pit lane. But I think that might be the most of any good times we'll see. I know Hamilton improved to P9. Piastri's on a lap at the moment. He's going well. This is Hamilton. Oh, someone making a bit of a mistake there. Everyone moving out the way. All the dust looking like water
we switched
on the tracks that come through. Big slide. Yeah, you can see it's very slippery, isn't it, there? And Lewis, we know he's one of those. He doesn't like to have, he doesn't like oversteer at all, does he? And, well, he's getting it a lot here, isn't he, today?
To see Ben Schneider says, Dan Josh, as well, for me saying that comment about Stroll. I mean it. If of all the drivers on the grid, you've got Lance Stroll is the most useless of them, and I can't make an excuse. I'd
say I can agree. I'd say I'm inclined to agree. I wouldn't say useless. I think that's the Well, it's not. It's the wrong word to use. It's the non-political correctness word to use.
Well, Alonso...
Stroll,
yeah.
Josh, into the top 10.
Well, he's only 10th. Alonso has scored 174 points this year. Stroll has scored 47.
Yeah, it's...
In a competitive car. You can't deny it. And
you can't.
What was he? He retired in Saudi Arabia, no points in America, retired in Monaco, no points at Silverstone, and then another 4. So he's had 8 races out of the 17 we've run where he's not scored any points. And in the last...
Pretty much half.
Yeah. And in the last 4 races since the summer break, no points whatsoever. And in the last 3 of those, he's had massive crashes as Leclerc has a twitch coming through turn 4 and 5 again.
That curb. It's horrible, isn't it? Sargent goes quicker than Albon again, P8. But everyone's making mistakes there. And we're going to see the point where we're going to see damage on the cars. It's going to be that bad, or we're going to start seeing crashes. Because in qualifying, you're going to push.
Yeah.
Here, they're not pushing. So I think we're in store for quite an interesting qualifying session. And the curbs aren't going to get any better. So the drivers are going to maybe start to sacrifice a little bit of speed through there. Otherwise, they're going to have a damaged floor, an angry team, and possibly even a bit of a spin. You can see coming through at turn 3. Obviously riding a bit of a curve there, into turn 4, into the inside of the apex, misses the apex completely as the track's still slippery, oversteer, sorry, onto the curb. There's nothing you can do at that point. You can just see as well a bit of sparks coming through from the floor, and Ferrari definitely won't be happy with that at all. I think this is another angle from the left side of the car. You can see that, just hitting that curb and bouncing back on. Yeah, not ideal at all from Charles, and he's done it more. I think he's done it more than enough times this session where he should really be starting to learn, shouldn't he, at this point? Some drivers have done it once or twice. He's done it at least 6 or 7 times I can recall.
Everyone's finding the limits. Tsunoda was the one in 2021 who was pushing to the extremes. Now he's coming up against traffic as well.
Traffic, I will keep going.
Russell, Magnussen and Hamilton all together, but Tsunoda looking quite feisty. He was fast here in 21, but he kept going off the track and damaging the AlphaTauri. Verstappen radio.
Yes.
Okay, Max, can you push from pit out all the way through to turn 4, please?
Why?
Just push, please. As best you can.
On cold tyres.
That's a weird request, isn't it, that?
Oh, there's the flag.
It's a very weird request. Yeah, there we are.
I bet it was because he wasn't going to meet it.
Oh, and again, signs that time.
Can you push from pit out all the way through to turn 4?
Yeah, that's the radio message we already heard.
Why?
It's a weird message, isn't it, that?
Just push, please. As best you can.
It seems like it's quite a, do it.
Yeah,
no
ifs or buts. You're going to do it, and you're going to do it now. As Sainz comes across the line.
What can Sainz do?
Oh, he's 13th at the moment, going to get into the top 10. Wow! 127.762 on the soft tyres. This is going to be like the end of qualifying. The amount of drivers out there on faster tyres. Oh, and Stroll's not even on a lap, and he's just blocked. I think Valtteri Bottas, what are you doing? Get off the racing line.
We need to check this floor, mate.
Within 2. Leclerc.
And Stroll's damaged the floor. We just heard it. Stroll's gone off the track and damaged the floor. And he's limping back in. Leclerc's on a faster time. Oh.
Yep, so what Leclerc can do. Can he put it into the top 3 for Ferrari? It will be in the top 3 for Ferrari. Russell as well on a lap time. We'll see what he can do. He's currently down in 16th. Improved in the first couple of sectors. We'll see where he can get as he comes up towards the line. What will it be for George Russell?
Oh, he's only hitting Hamilton.
Be decent. Top 8. What will it
Yes.
be? Top 8. Very nice there. Just a second down from Verstappen, who tops the time. Is by, 3.5 tenths. So it's a Red Bull 1 and a Ferrari 2-3. Yet again, Ferrari looking very quick. My surprise is for both Williams and McLaren. Williams getting a bit more pace through. McLaren a little bit slower than I thought they would be, and Stroll completely off the track down at turn 16.
Alonso, that's Alonso.
Oh, Alonso, sorry. Alonso off the track there, and you can just see how much the curb drops off, and I don't think there'll be too much damage there on the floor.
Yeah, he took it quite straight, didn't he?
He keeps repeating that again and again, and yeah, it's not going to be good at all.
There was that Stroll going off the track, and he saw the fire underneath
it. Didn't
it.
break, isn't it?
Yeah. So that was Stroll flying off the track down at turn 11 exit and going a little bit wide. And he finishes the session, where is he? 14th. And Alonso finishes 4th. Yep. Just saying. Look at that. Wins in the season. Max Verstappen, 81% of the season he's won. Alberto Ascari did 75. Michael Schumacher, 72. Jim Clark in 63 did 70. Vettel did 68 from 13.
Did Verstappen break the record last season?
I think he did, didn't he? Yeah.
It was about, I think it was about 3 or 4% more than Schumacher. Or it was either that or he just about didn't break the record.
78 off the top of my head.
But listen, for 1952 to have a 75% win streak,
well, technically,
that is something else.
That should be more, because Alberto Ascari won the title 52-53. So
yeah, and then it was Farina, wasn't it? Not Farina, who was it now?
Fangio, 54, 55,
Fangio, there we
56.
go. 54. Wasn't it 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 or something?
Yeah.
And 9. He won 5, didn't he, in a row?
Yeah.
Or was it 4?
Well, he won 1951, then he won 1954, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I think.
This is Sainz doing a couple of practice starts off.
Farina, Fangio.
Start finish line of that, Josh, is also going to be interesting.
Yeah.
The sprint and the main race, the starts then towards turn 1, the dust that will throw up. If you look at the back of the grid, oh no. That's not going to be good at all, is it, for visibility?
That braking zone turn 1 is tricky as well. We often see MotoGP having huge accidents down there because you can't get stopped.
Go to the left, it's too dirty on the side.
So the left-hand side of the grid is too dirty. So pole position on the right-hand side of the grid, and the left-hand side is too dirty. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be a lot of fun down to turn 1.
Well, I can't wait. I think this is, after what we've seen from this session, this is going to probably be one of my favourite weekends of the year.
Yeah.
Considering we've got, after the sprint share and the sprint race, we've got qualifying, which is happening in 2 hours. It's weird, isn't it, Josh, to say, oh yeah, we've got qualifying in 2 hours on a Friday.
Feels like a Saturday.
Very weird to say. It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
It feels like a Saturday night. That's how it is. But in the UK right now, it's only 3:30. But in Qatar, it's 5:30 and pitch black. But it's so weird because we're all just waiting around here. Such a weird atmosphere we get, especially when I'm locked in the commentary box, where you don't get any sunlight now. But you used to be able to, but not anymore because we've covered everything up. Okay, so the practice times then from the first session here at the Losail International Circuit. Max Verstappen tops the running on a 1:27.428. Carlos Sainz goes into second with Charles Leclerc in third. Fernando Alonso is fourth with Sergio Perez fifth. Yuki Tsunoda is sixth. Nico Hülkenberg 7th, George Russell 8th, Oscar Piastri 9th, and rounding out the top 10, that goes to Lando Norris. Looking ahead then as well, in 11th position, you take in Logan Sargent, 12th for Alexander Albon, 13th for Lewis Hamilton. Unlucky that he's so far down the order. Let's see what he has later on in the session for qualifying. Further then down, you get...
That was an experience. First of all, with the sand in the beginning, it was like so much, and the track evolution was huge. Just not by gaining lots of grip, so not an easy session to really read the balance of the car.
That's Stroll in 14th, Ocon 15th, Gasly 16th, ahead of Bottas, Zhou, Lawson and Magnussen in the running order.
Yep. Very interesting, wasn't it, Josh?
Very interesting session to get them all back in. And Verstappen's on the radio.
He's out there with the gusting wind, the sand.
I tried to accelerate. It's oscillating a lot.
Okay, mode 6, please, Max. Mode 6.
I mean, well, this
yeah,
is...
I tried to accelerate towards the end between Max and GP, his race
mode
engineer.
6, Max. Mode 6.
So not great there, what we were seeing from the Red Bull from Verstappen. So, Richie, going into quali, here's your prediction for pole position and the front row of the grid. It's looking quite chaotic again.
It is. I'd be normally keen to say Verstappen, but I'm going to go different. I'm going to say pole position, Fernando Alonso. Second position, we'll say Charles Leclerc.
That's a good option. Thank you, Richie, for stepping in very last second to the comms box. Pleasure to be back commentating with you after 3 months. And we will be back for qualifying at 5:45 British Summer Time. The link is all in the description if you're watching on YouTube as well. On Twitch, just set your notifications to turn on. Very interesting qualifying ahead then on a track that has no grip whatsoever. It's still Verstappen, the fastest. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.